for the first time against the astutely named hockey club. The Orange and Blue kick off a 3-game trip in Salt Lake City. We get you set for the Oilers and Utah on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the pregame show, live on location at Hudson's Bourbon Street at an absolutely insane, I mean crazy West Edmonton Mall. Tom Gazzola with you. Hernan Salas back at ESTHQ. Matt Cassian will be joining us in a couple of minutes to help get us set for the Oilers' first game since last Saturday. Of course, we highly encourage you to get in on the conversation. You can text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well if you're watching on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. I'm not going to try to get people to hit the like button so I eat something crazy like the boys did earlier today. Artichoke was the weapon of choice for Dusty Nielsen. I actually like artichoke. I had some right in front of his face in studio to show him how good and nutritious it is. Of course, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Hernan Salas, how you doing over there, buddy? It's been a busy day at EST. I'm just going to tell you this. If you're going to come down here, Uber, because the parking is insane, man. Like, it is insane here.
Yeah, you know what, Tommy? I got to pick up a gift there anyway, so I might take your advice there because Jay brought up a good point. It's Black Friday.
What do you say? It is Black Friday.
So it's probably crazy down there. And I was like, ooh, I didn't even think of that. So I was like, I probably won't go down there. Maybe you're right. I might have to take an Uber.
I saw the schedule. I'm like, okay, November 28th. That's great. On a Friday. That's great. It should be busy. And then it didn't dawn on me till like this morning. I was like, oh my God, it's Black Friday. It's insane. So yeah, come on down. Great crowd here already. Shout out to Adam, Meg, Amy. Great to see them. Kobe was here. Eric, Jeff's always here. I think he's off right now, but they have a fantastic staff here, and it's so good to be back. And I want to send a special shout out to Norman at Combine and Sticky Rice, who are here second time today.
Nice. And
Rob from the Grove, who've braved all of the craziness that is West Edmonton Mall in the holiday season, especially on a Black Friday. Shout out to them. They're awesome. I'll send them a beveragino or two in a little bit. All right, we're going to have Belle Fraser join us from the Salt Lake Tribune in a little bit. We have Cass, who's ready to go for Game Changers, so we're going to bring him in shortly. Before we do that, Nan, so just some quick thoughts on this game between the Oilers and the Utah Hockey Club. And this is the first time, quote unquote, they ever face this club, because even though they moved from Arizona, they start as an expansion franchise, just to get that out of the way.
Yeah, no, I think this is a game the Oilers should have if they can build off what they did. I know it was a while ago now, 6 days ago, Tom, which is a little unfortunate, but if they can build off that and play the same way, I think they'll come away with the 2 points. But at the same time, this team has been kind of up and down this season, so it's been a little bit tough. And you just don't know what team's going to show up tonight, right? So not concerned about the goaltending because I think Calvin Pickard's been really good. So we'll just see a few, not questionable, but a few eyebrow raisers there with the Connor Brown on the second line, and Jess Skinner continues to be in the bottom six. But it is what it is. I mean, if this team's going to win this game, they're going to need everybody. I mean, so far it's been a two-man show with Connor and Leon, but it should be a fun game. And I'm excited because it's Utah, right? It's their first trip there. The fans, we had one of their reporters on. He said, if you would have told me 2 years ago Connor McDavid would be playing here at the Delta Center, I think it's called, he goes, I would have told you you're crazy. So they're pretty pumped to see the Oilers, Tommy.
As they should be. And let's see if the Traveling Road Show steals the hearts of the Utah faithful and a couple of points in the process. All right, we're going to get to Cass right away. I'm just going to rattle off the starting lineups and injury report for you for the Oilers. Here's what we're anticipating tonight. Connor McDavid centering Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Kasperi Kapanen. Great play by Kapanen to help on the McDavid goal, the one where he had the tap backside on a nice feed from Bouchard, but it was Kapanen that wheeled around. Patient, took a look through the seam, cross ice in the offensive zone. Bouchard, that wherewithal to go back through the same seam, and McDavid was there for the backdoor tap-in. So Kapanen rewarded once again, playing with McDavid and Nugent-Hopkins. Second line, I call it the Podkolzin line for good reason. Draisaitl centering Vasily Podkolzin and Connor Brown. Third line, Adam Henrique with Jeff Skinner and Matthias Janmark on the right side. Derek Ryan centering the fourth line with the recently recalled Drake Caggiula and Corey Perry on the right side. On defense for Edmonton tonight, Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Stetcher, Kulak with Emerson, no Travis Dermott. As for the hockey club, Barrett Hayton between Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz. Logan Cooley with Jack McBain and Dylan Gunther. Nick Bugstad between Matthias Michelli and Lawson Krause. Then you got Kevin Stenlund with Alex Kerfoot and Michael Carconi. On defense, Mikhail Sergachev with the recently acquired Oli Mata. Then there's Ian Cole with Juuso Valimaki. Michael Kesselring on the left side, even though he's a right shot, with Robert Bortuzzo. Vladislav Kolyachonok is the scratch for Utah. All right, in goal for the Oilers, it will be Calvin Pickard. He's 4-3 this season in 8 games played, a .244 GAA, .893 save percentage. So he gets to start in the first game of a back-to-back set for the Oilers. And then at the other end of the rink, it's going to be a familiar face. It is going to be Karel Vejmelka. Vejmelka, you've seen him before in a Coyote uniform, but the 28-year-old so far this season, 3-6 through 11 games, .225 GAA, .922 save percentage. Vejmelka versus Edmonton over his career, 1-3 record, .466 GAA, .875 in those games versus Edmonton, all 4 of them. So there is your goaltending matchup, Pickard versus Vejmelka, and there is your lineup. So we get to the injury report, brought to you as always by Advantage Sports Medicine. At Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy, we treat you like the pros. Our multidisciplinary team includes sports medicine physicians, along with highly skilled physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, and massage therapists. Whether you're recovering from an injury or looking to enhance performance, we treat you like a pro using the same locker room approach trusted by the best in the game. For the Oilers, Zach Hyman, once again, day-to-day, undisclosed. We won't see him potentially until Tuesday, according to Chris Knobloch. That's when the Oilers are in Vegas. Victor Arvidsson, IR, undisclosed. I tried sniffing around, didn't get much there, and I don't have a clue what the heck is bothering him, but don't expect him to play at all on this trip. And then Evander Kane, LTIR, abdominal surgery. As for Utah, Maverick Lamoureux, day-to-day, upper body. Connor Ingram, IR, upper body. Sean Dursey, IR, shoulder. And John Marino, the Oilers pick from years back, IR, lower back. Let's bring the big man in. It is our game analyst, Matt Cassian, with Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting, RE/MAX Elite. Damon Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Western Canadian RE/MAX realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Cass, you having a holiday party, I understand. You're wearing a very nice sweater. It's probably made of cashmere or some kind of virgin merino wool.
No, I got a funny story about this sweater.
Okay, go ahead.
I got a funny story about this sweater. So there are, it's a friends miss today. So a bunch of friends. We all know that everything's going to get way too crazy busy for everybody heading into the rest of the holiday season. So we're like, let's get together early. So we did. Now, what we didn't know is all the guys was that the wives all planned to buy us the same sweater to wear for the party. So as every individual guy started walking in, every other guy is wearing the same. So there are 8 other guys up there, rather 9 of us total that that all are wearing this same sweater. And I think it's a pretty simple. It's not an overly expensive sweater. And it's a nice one. I'll wear it outside of this too. But the first guy that walks in, it's kind of funny. You're like, oh, samesies. The wives don't say anything. Second guy walks in, then it's like, wait a minute. something's going on here.
Yeah.
And then, it just turns into pandemonium anytime one of the other guys walks in. Everyone starts going crazy and yelling. It's pretty funny. So
how many of you are wearing that sweater right now?
9 of us.
No.
Yeah.
The wives.
Yeah, and there's one or two where the wives were apparently like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Like, how am I going to get them to wear this thing? Because some of the guys are pretty independent thinkers. Okay. And they convinced us all. So they did their job.
Are they wearing matching outfits, or are they all glammed up because it's their day too?
They're all glammed up and looking good, and we're just not that we're not looking good, but we're all wearing the same sweater.
Yeah, you look very, very nice right now, Cass. I like it. All right, Cass wearing I think that's like what do we call that? A Pinot? No, that's not a Pinot. That's like a Merlot type of
Merlot. That's a good color for it.
Yeah, it's a Merlot. Very comfortable holiday sweater. He's ready to go as Edmonton faces Utah Hockey Club for the first time. Again, it's an expansion franchise. The Coyotes are in, I don't know what you call it, hockey purgatory if they get brought back from the dead, which they might. But all of their records and stuff have ceased, and now the Utah Hockey Club begins anew, and we'll see the Oilers face them tonight. So, number one, Cass, on Game Changers, practice payoff. It's been a while.
It's been a while, but you've had some time to work on things that the Edmonton Oilers have struggled with, things that maybe the Utah Hockey Club has struggled against, namely the power play. I mean, I feel like we just keep going back to this time and time again this season, but it's just like this is something we have to keep talking about. But you have had now a good amount of time, many days, many practices to iron out your power play, to work on things, to execute cleanly in practice. Tom, we got to start seeing something from the power play here. We really do. And it's against, again, a Utah team that has struggled on the penalty kill recently, has not managed to keep the puck out of their net very well. So not just from a practice standpoint, but even from an opponent standpoint, this is a team whose penalty kill is absolutely reeling. They're absolutely reeling right now, much like Edmonton's was earlier in the season before they kind of started to lock it down a little bit. The Utah Hockey Club is not playing well on the penalty kill. So for Edmonton, again, a tremendous opportunity to build some momentum, to maybe execute, to maybe actually get pucks to the net and bodies to the net and create some chaos and actually get some shots and some opportunities. They haven't been doing enough of that recently. Tommy, huge opportunity today, and you've had the practice. No more excuses. Power play needs to execute.
The power play has propped itself up a little bit, I guess, if you look at it from an Oilers standpoint. They're 27th, 9 for 57, but it feels like it's gained a little bit of life lately. But like you said, Cass, that Utah, their special teams are not particularly good. Both the PK and power play sitting at 22nd in the NHL. So the Oilers an opportunity with the Utah Hockey Club's not very strong PK, 77.4%, an opportunity to kind of get some momentum going. Edmonton's PK, though, has been much, much better. That's for sure. Okay, I like this one, Cass, tying into the holiday season. Of course, American Thanksgiving weekend. We saw all the football yesterday. I'm sure you guys had a nice meal. All right, number 2, turkey legs.
Yeah, we had a Thanksgiving meal yesterday. Yeah, so it was brisket and turkey yesterday, and it's ham and brisket again today. So multiple events going on. So
where's the problem? Where's the problem here?
There's no problem. No problem
thank you.
At all.
Yes.
But,
yes.
What I would say is that, listen, there's an old wives' tale, or I guess old wives' tale. I don't know if that's what you call it. There's rumors. People talk about how like the turkey and the turkey makes you sleepy, and this and that. And there is whatever, I can't even remember. It starts with a T, the name of the drug that's inside turkey. But realistically, for it, that one. You have to eat like 17 turkeys yourself before it's enough to actually have an effect on you. Scientifically, like you have to eat a lot of them. So it's not that drug is in the system. However, Tom, you can't tell me that there weren't some Thanksgiving meals yesterday. And in Utah, not quite a southern state, but a big state that really values family and togetherness in a lot of ways. In Salt Lake City, you gotta know that some of the Utah Hockey Club was they were having their Thanksgiving dinner yesterday, being at home and not having a game. So, for Edmonton, you had the big chunk of time off to practice, not so much for Utah. However, you are coming off of that Thanksgiving Day feast, which it can maybe slow you down a little bit, maybe a little bit more food in your tummy than normal, maybe something a little bit outside your diet, maybe a glass or two of vino for some of the guys. But really for Edmonton, you have an opportunity here, again, to take advantage of a team that's reeling a little bit, not just from the turkey and from the meals and from everything, but that's been struggling to find ways to win and has been struggling on special teams. But take advantage of the turkey legs. If you can come out early in the game and start swinging the way here, I don't want to say Utah's going to fold like a cheap tent, but you're going to do yourself a big favor.
Take advantage of those turkey legs. Not many players can eat 17 turkeys and feel the full effect of tryptophan. All right, number 1 on Game Changers, practice payoff. Number 2, turkey legs. Number 3 on Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Rangers dominance, Cass.
Yeah, like Tommy, I don't know, because we didn't get a chance to talk after that one, but that Rangers game against the Edmonton Oilers was the first time this season where I watched the Oilers and I was like, that looks like a Stanley Cup winning team.
Yeah.
That looks like a team that's a threat to win it all. Like, they were dominant and aggressive, and everything that we have been missing from them playing well was what we saw against the Rangers. Now, they've had the break, and we talked about that a little bit, talked about the practice or the practices and the ability to work on things. And, I had a conversation with one of the players. It was like, hey, how'd you feel about the break? He's like, man, it's amazing. To get a little bit of a break, spend some time with the family. It was great. However, what we need to see now is that, let the break pay off. Let that momentum pay off. Like, you finally had a game where, and I'm hoping it's something that just clicks mentally inside of them, where it's like, oh, wait a second, that's what it feels like. Wait a second, that's mentally, emotionally where we need to get to play like we need to. I'm really hoping that momentum can carry forward. Now, Tom, we've seen this team, high highs, low lows, all over the place, having no idea what type of team we're going to see when they step out on the ice. Kind of feel that way heading into this one a little bit, but would be great to see them come out with that same play style they played against New York. Tommy, I don't know if we'll see it or not, but I certainly hope we do.
Cass, just in regard to that game, and I'm with you in the way that the Oilers went and they took that game. They didn't let off the gas at all, and I give them full credit. They deserve it, and the Rangers are a good team. Now, I know the Rangers continue to struggle. They lost again, I believe, earlier today. They're on a slide right now, and we heard these rumors that Chris Drury wants to trade this guy and trade that guy. I thought he was just trying to rattle their cages. How much stock do you put in what the Oilers did compared to where the Rangers are at, which is a snag in their season? Because there are those out there that are suggesting, well, Edmonton caught the Rangers in a perfect scenario, end of a road trip, not playing well, this and that. I'm like, yeah, but they fed it to them, and they gave Jonathan Quick his first loss of the year.
Yeah. I mean, everything you just said, they fed it to him. They gave Jonathan Quick first loss of the year, and New York is a good team, and I know they're sliding and they're struggling, but if they would have beat Edmonton, you're probably not hearing as much about how they're struggling and sliding, right? It's like, oh, maybe they had a little bit of a skid, but they won a game, they're going to be fine. And you want to be a team that kicks other teams when they're down, right? Yes. You want to be a team that stomps on other teams when they're down. When a team doesn't play well, you want to dominate. When a team isn't executing, you want to score 5 goals and have a lead, and you have Connor McDavid just do whatever he wants out there. Like, that's what you need to do. So, but to people that are saying that, I'd say, well, what are you hoping for here? Like, are you gonna, because if they would have lost, you would have been like, oh, and it's like they win and they stomp on a team and they play like they should. Now you're like, oh, well, New York and this, and you're making excuses the other way. So, no, enjoy how they played, and if Connor McDavid plays like that, and from top to bottom the team plays like that, with that momentum, that aggression, that intentionality, they're going to win most games. They might not win every game against a really good team. You could play that game against Winnipeg, and maybe Winnipeg beats you right now with how well they're playing. Maybe. Sure. But most teams in the league, Utah certainly, you play that game, Tom, the same way you played against New York, you're going to win.
Cass, I know you want to feed yourself some of that brisket and some of that ham, and maybe there's some leftover turkey. But before you do that, because we don't have you tomorrow, this road trip for the Oilers, 3-gamer, you get this back-to-back here, starting in Salt Lake City. Then they pop over to Denver. They get the 2 days off. They go to Vegas. How do you approach it if you're the Oilers? And how do you personally, as an analyst, see this trip for Edmonton?
Yeah, I feel like this one's really crucial just because you are coming out of that break. It's like you don't have that, oh, we're too tired, we're too banged up. Now, I know you have some guys that are just coming off of injuries. Hyman hopefully will play here soon.
Right.
Arvidsson, who knows? But you have guys that were banged up outside of that too, where it's like you had time to rest, you had time to heal up. It's a no excuses type of road trip. It really feels that way to me. Now, you're still playing some good teams. Vegas has been really good. Denver, the Colorado Avalanche, they're middling for where they would like to be, but
yeah,
they still have some of the best players in the world. They're still a really good team. So it's going to be a challenge still here of a road trip. Like we throw out terms all the time like, oh, this is a measuring stick game, or, oh, that's a measuring stick game. And I feel like sometimes we overuse that. However,
yes,
I'm going to use it right now and say this is a measuring stick road trip to come out of a game against New York where you finally played some good hockey. Can you keep it going? And not just against Utah, but against some really good teams, Tom, with back-to-back and a little bit of travel. Like it's a big one for me. I want to see them play a couple really good games in a row here for a team that has been mired in inconsistency this year, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
I expect to see something great.
All right, big boy. Great stuff as always. Go get yourself some food. I know you're hungry, and enjoy the game, enjoy the company, and we'll catch up with you on the post game. All right?
Sounds good, buddy. Don't get trampled by those Black Friday shoppers.
That's okay. I have like a 110-pound oak desk in front of me, so I'll be all right. I'm just not the maitre d'.
Someone's going to try to take it. So
that's true. Yeah, they're asking if I have any iPhones back here. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Cass, great stuff, buddy. See you on the post game.
See ya.
All right, there's our game analyst, Matt Cassian, with Game Changers, brought to you, as always, by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Let's get Nancito on here before Belle Fraser joins us from the Salt Lake Tribune. I'm live on location at Hudson's Bourbon Street, and like Cass was saying, it is busy. Norman a Combine and Sticky Rice, when people are walking in, they don't read the sign literally, Nanso, you've seen it, right in front of the entrance that says, please, grab a seat. Nice to see you again. I read it. I'm looking at it, and people kind of they look around. They go, hey, what's going on over there? What are you doing? Are you the DJ? And it's like, no, I'm busy. I'm on air, as my sign says. And so actually Norman and Trace, Sticky Rice, have been like, tables at the back. Go to the back. And people have been like, oh, thank you. So here we are.
They're controlling the crews there.
They're controlled. They're great. They're great. They're fantastic.
Traffic
control. And Rob from the Grove is just laughing. He thinks it's hilarious. I'm watching him, and he's just giggling because he sees it all. All right, Nat, so what'd you think? We had Cass there. We're going to have Belle Fraser stopping by in a couple minutes here. What are some of your takeaways? And do you have a question of the night that you want to throw out, too, or do you want to hold off on that?
No, I do, actually. It was going to be usually the first measuring stick of the NHL season is U.S. Thanksgiving, Tom. Right?
Yep.
And I think the Oilers' season so far has been up and down. Currently, they sit outside, but very close to a wild card spot. So I think the second big measure, kind of NHL mark, is the Christmas break. So I'm going to ask Oiler fans, the first measuring stick, the Oilers are outside looking in on the playoffs. What is going to be the Oilers' position come the Christmas break? Will they be top 3 in the Pacific? Will they be in a wild card spot, or will they be on the outside looking in as they are on the first NHL mark, which is U.S. Thanksgiving, Tom?
So 780-218-9999. Text us your thoughts. Where are they going to sit at the Christmas break? Right? That's the right way to word it, Nanso? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think they'll be back in second in the Pacific. I'm being positive. I'm looking at it from a glass half full perspective. I think Stuart Skinner's game picks up. I think we start to see some depth scoring. I think we see them get healthier. We see some growth from Ty Emberson. Darnell Nurse has been playing well. I think that continues. And then I think we eventually, and I think this is pretty important, we eventually see Evan Bouchard to come out of his shell defensively, because he's had the offense, he's had good moments defensively in his own zone. It's been so sloppy. It has affected Matthias Ekholm. I think we start to see him round into form because he's done that in years past, and I think he just does it again because it's kind of part of his game. Listen, I also think that having the discussion about the Four Nations face-off and these guys trying to make the team, and when they eventually do or don't, I think that helps quiet some of that noise we asked Kevin Lowe on Hello Hockey last week what he thought of that, because he built Team Canada when they won the Olympics in 2002 and the World Cup in 2004, and I think he had a hand in 2006 as well, and that team was awful in Torino. But he goes, I don't think they feel it. But Hyman, I mean, before he got hurt, couldn't make a one-timer happen. Couldn't get the pucks to bounce the way they were last year, and I don't know if we're asking him to score 50 again this year. I don't think that's got a chance of happening anymore, but I don't think 30 was unreasonable, or 35, and I think he could still put together a nice run at some point, get hot if he's got enough runway in terms of games. But yeah, I think it could happen, and so I think they could vault themselves into second by Christmas. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they'll be in a playoff spot. I just don't know if it's going to be wild card or top three, because they're all close, Tom. So you go on a bit of a heater here. You're gonna kind of take over that spot. So yeah, I do think they will be in a playoff spot, probably top three. If I were to say, I don't know if they'll be top of the division, but I think they'll be fighting for that second, third spot. Listen, the team is what it is right now, Tom. I'll just call it how it is. Like, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. The power play is not good right now, and it's people kept saying, well, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. Well, is it?
Hasn't. No, it's not good right now.
So that's the big question here, and a lot of guys having off years as well. So for me, it's not an automatic that things are going to turn around, but I think there's far too much talent that at least two of these guys is going to find a way to start, contributing to the offense, because right now it's been a two-man show, and that's Leon and Connor McDavid, of course. So, yeah, I think some things will start to turn, Tom. We're seeing the penalty kill finally over 70%, which is still pretty bad. But
it's
considering where they were a couple weeks ago and to start the season, it wasn't too good. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do in a month from now.
All right, keep those answers coming in for the question of the night. Where will the Oilers be at the Christmas break when it comes to their standing in the Pacific Division? I'm seeing some text coming in right now. 780-218-9999. If you're listening on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Apple Music, of course, EdmontonSportsTalk.com's audio player. Fire away, and then if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up and let us know your thoughts. We'll read those as we move along. All right, she's ready to go from Delta Center in Salt Lake City. It is Belle Fraser from the Salt Lake Tribune. All right, you're at the Delta Center. I'm at Hudson's Canada's Pub. I think you would have a great time here. It's a lively crowd. It is also Black Friday up here in Edmonton, Belle, and it took like an hour to make a 5-minute drive, what is normally a 5-minute drive, to get here, get set up for this radio show. But we appreciate you. We're ready to rock. And give us the vibe around Utah with this hockey club, because it's an expansion franchise, and some people around here are still kind of wrapping their heads around that. They're like, what the heck? They're not the old Coyotes? They're not.
Yeah, I mean, I think coming into this season, a lot of people had questions about if Utah was ready to be an NHL market, but owner Ryan Smith, it felt like 2 to 3 years he was kind of pushing the league to bring the NHL to Utah, and when this fell on his lap, it's not a traditional expansion team, a relocation, but, he took it because he had belief in this community and this market, and from opening night, the players said it, I agree, coaches, it was one of the cooler hockey experiences a lot of them have had to, have a real arena, have a professional locker room, a practice facility, a home base that is here to support them, and an ownership that has, the financial abilities to do so too. So the buzz is still here, even though the team has definitely struggled a bit this season. The fans and the excitement hasn't fallen off, which is a good sign. And they're back tonight after a 4-game road trip. So I would say the buzz of the Delta Center tonight is a bit more than usual, just because they're excited to have their team back on home turf. So it should be a good one.
Which is excellent, and they're going to be in for a treat when they see Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl do their thing tonight. Give us an idea of the Delta Center. That's where the Jazz play. We know that. I know there was talk of a brand new arena. I guess that's fallen by the wayside. I remember going to Brooklyn when the Islanders were playing there, covering games there, and it had these weird sight lines during the last lockout. I went to San Antonio, same thing, NBA building. What's it like in there right now, and what are the future plans for the hockey club, Yeti perhaps, going forward?
Yeah, so because they had to throw all of this together in 4 to 5 months, they were obviously not able to build an NHL arena. And then Brian Smith also owns the Jazz, so he wanted to have Utah Hockey Club here too. So there's about 4,000 to 5,000 seats that are obstructed views right now, which obviously is not ideal, but they're sold as single view tickets and they're like $40. So people kind of know what they're getting into. But yeah, if you're at the kind of goal line and above, you kind of can't see past the 2 face-off dots, which isn't the best way to watch a hockey game. Nonetheless, they're planning on doing renovations for the next 2 to 3 summers to kind of blow out those sides and make it more of a bowl instead of very steep for NBA. But the whole lower bowl is fine, and same with most of the upper bowl, and it hasn't stopped people from coming to the games yet. I'm not sure if that will wear off after it's not the historic inaugural season and people kind of want to see a full sheet of ice, but they're doing the best with what they have now, and the plan is to make it a fully, retrofitted NHL arena. They're not just going to let it stay like this forever. But yeah, that construction will start this summer.
That is very cool, and it looks like a great atmosphere. It's nice to see them in an actual pro arena as opposed to when they're at Mullet Arena as the Coyotes. All right, Belle Fraser joining us now from the Salt Lake Tribune as we get you set for the Oilers and the Utah Hockey Club. This Utah team coming off win in Montreal. You said they had that road trip. How would you describe that victory in a great hockey market, but not necessarily against a great Montreal team? And then the trip as a whole, Belle, what would you say about it?
Yeah, it was kind of emblematic of how Utah has played this whole season, where they'll have a really good period, a really good shift, and a really good game per se, and then not be able to follow it up with the same type of performance. They haven't won consecutive games since the first week of the season, which is kind of shocking. And that's been the biggest theme for them from coaches and players, just finding that consistency on a nightly basis and being able to string wins together. They all say, it feels good when you win, but it lasts until midnight, and it doesn't really matter if you can't replicate, that winning culture. So that's definitely something they're working on. But especially on the road trip, I think you've seen their younger players, especially the second line of Jack McBain, Logan Cooley, and Dylan Gunther really break out for them this year. They are the offensive leaders as of late. It's not your Clayton Kellers, your Nick Schmaltzes, your Lawson Krauses, which might have been a bit of a surprise and not what you expected. But those young guys have really taken it upon themselves to get this team going when it needs it. And, Dylan Gunther, Edmonton native, we talked to him today. He's excited to play against his hometown team, and he's had, I want to say, 5 points in the last 4 or 3 games. So he's on a streak right now. It'll be interesting what he can do against, a team that meant a lot to him growing up. But yeah, I think when you're looking at Utah, main theme, consistency, and then injuries on the back end too. The team just announced Maverick Lamoureux is out for 4 to 6 weeks with an upper body injury. John Marino and Sean Dursey both out month to month. So that's the tough area for them. They have a healthy forward group, but a really depleted back end.
You mentioned the young guys. I know injuries, like you just said, are a factor as well. Is it too early to give this team an identity, or is it just, hey, this is a young, exciting team, skilled guys, they're going to be good in a few years? How would you describe the identity of this club pretty early on, a quarter of the way through the season?
It's interesting. We were talking about that at the quarter mark, and it's hard to fully evaluate them when you haven't seen John Marino skate in a Utah Hockey Club game, and you've only seen Sean Dursey for 3 to 4 games, and you haven't seen kind of Bill Armstrong's vision this summer come to fruition because the pieces just all haven't played at the same time. So the way you evaluate, obviously, their defensive game is going to be skewed, but I think when Utah is playing the way they want to play, they're one of the quicker teams in the league. And when their special teams are working, their first unit can fire on all cylinders. So I would say they're skilled, fast, hardworking too. I think that's a big emphasis. They don't want to be an easy team to play against, but sometimes they are, right? So that's the identity they want to be, but I don't think they fully have fulfilled that this season, and it's something they're still working towards because they're still in the 4th year of a rebuild.
Belle Fraser joining us now from the Salt Lake Tribune, getting you set for the Oilers and the Hockey Club. And, when it comes to the goaltending, Belle, I know we're going to see Vejmelka. I know Ingram's banged up. Ingram kind of emerged last season. Vejmelka's been around the last few. How would you describe what this team is getting in goal from their 2 netminders thus far?
I think they got a lot less than they expected from Connor Ingram to start the season, and a lot more from Vejmelka than they expected, which, I mean, if one goaltender is working, you just need one a game, really. So you play the hot hand. And that was kind of the conversation last week. Vejmelka played, think everyone saw the 49 save game against the Carolina Hurricanes, the 10-minute penalty kill, and that's where it kind of started for him. And he's been pretty consistent. So there was conversation about doing a rotation and do you just go to Vejmelka? And then Connor Ingram is now hurt. It was day-to-day, but coach said it'll be at least another week. So Vejmelka has to be that number one guy. And he's been able to do that. They called up Jackson Stauber from the AHL, who's been backing Vejmelka up. But for now, he's been, reliable. He's athletic and he's confident. He's not kind of shying away from this opportunity. So it's lucky that Utah had a guy to fall back on when Ingram got hurt. And I think the interesting thing will be when Ingram's fully healthy. I don't know if you can just automatically go back to him because he was your number one out of training camp.
Right, that's totally fair, and they've kind of bounced back and forth between those two, especially going back to the Coyotes days. All right, Belle, Andre Tourigny, did he give you guys much in terms of how they plan on defending or game planning against McDavid, Draisaitl, and the Oilers? What's the plan of attack for the Utah Hockey Club, do you think?
It's funny, we talked to him and the players. I feel like it's kind of what you get around the league. They kind of just scoff, and they're like, it's Connor McDavid. Like, how much can you defend them? And I think it's the stereotypical answer. They're worried about their game and they're going to play the same defensive zone structure that against any team. But I obviously think when those guys are on the ice, there's a heightened awareness whenever they have the puck. And it'll be a really big test for Utah's back end. They're not playing without Lamoureux, who's 6'7" and pretty physical, but still 20 years old. Juuso Valimaki is entering the lineup instead of him, and then Robert Bertuzzo, a veteran who kind of has that experience that you need to play against top teams, is also in the lineup. He's been in and out, so I think they're going to learn as they go and kind of see what happens. But yeah, I think if there was a game plan on how to defend those guys, they wouldn't be as successful as they were. So that's what they told us, and I think that's what you kind of expect when a team faces the Oilers.
Fair enough. Okay, I can't believe I'm going to say this. How has the one that got away, Michael Kesselring, looked for Utah? He put in the work. I saw him in Scottsdale the last couple of summers, and now all of a sudden, what does he have? 11 points in 22 games. The Oilers traded him, I think, in the Bukestad deal a couple of years ago. Bukestad back with the club. Yep. How would you describe where Kesselring has fit in and what he's been able to do?
He's been one of the biggest bright spots for Utah this year. You talk about how many guys went down on defense, and instead of, filling holes externally, they brought in Ole Mata because they kind of needed to, but they really looked internally to guys to step up. And, you talk about Valimaki or a guy like Kolechanik who are still struggling, but Michael Kesselring saw that opening in the lineup, and he decided to take it upon himself to carry the extra minutes. He was on the first pair with Sergachev for a bit, and he's running the point on the second power play unit. And we talked to him, last year, his first full season in the league, he was really focused on being responsible defensively, and now he's kind of able to lean into his two-way game a bit more and be that offensive defenseman that he was in college and he kind of knows how to be. And his shot from the point is one of Utah's biggest weapons. I don't know if Edmonton fans got to see it fully when he was in the AHL over there, but wow, a big surprise. And I actually wrote a feature on him when he got to go back to Boston, but I talked to Jim Madigan, his coach at Northeastern, and even his mom, and they both kind of had the same quote. They're like, if you give that kid an opportunity, like, he will surprise his teammates, his coaches, and the fans. And that's exactly what he's done this season. And coach said today, even as well as Kesselring's playing, his ceiling is so much higher than the level he's at right now. So I think amidst, all the bad news for defense, he's been a really bright spot for the team.
Very well said. Okay, this is the most important question for you. I-15 from Ogden to Provo, the scariest drive in the world because of how bad and erratic the drivers are down there. True or false? Because I've had some close calls on that damn stretch of road.
I'm going to expose myself here. I haven't done it. I grew up in New York City without a car, so I actually got my license right before I moved to Utah, and I have avoided the freeway at all costs. So I have not experienced it yet, and I hope I never have to. You just drive to the Delta Center, to the newspaper, and back.
Perfect. Keep it that way, because that is a scary, scary stretch of road. Belle, this was awesome. Thank you so much for hopping on. We'll have to do it again. These two teams play again a couple more times, this time in Edmonton. Thanks. Appreciate it. Enjoy the game. We'll see you again.
Yep, thanks for having me.
There you go. There's Belle Fraser from the Salt Lake Tribune. Yeah, Nanso, that is a scary, scary portion of the interstate, the I-15.
Gonna have to try it out, man.
Dude, it's insane. And you're wedged, you're stuck because on one side's the lake and then the other side's the city. Like, sure, you can weave through the city and there must be another route that you can take to, because this is usually when I would make my way down to Phoenix or stop in Vegas. You would stay on the 15 because it goes all the way down to Vegas. Then you can hop on the 93 to Phoenix. Anyway, there's times where you're like screaming by people and you're like, hey, get out of the way, stay out of the left lane. And then they fall so far back. And then 2 minutes later, they blow by you going even faster. And you're like, what the hell is going on? And it's like this the whole hour drive. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah,
I just want to get that off my chest.
That sounds crazy. That was a great interview.
She's good.
We're just getting to know the media members from Utah. We had Cole Bagley on today. He was fantastic, and it was good. Belle was fantastic, and look forward to when she comes down to Edmonton. And it should be a fun game. I know you had to bring up Kesselring, didn't you?
I know, but listen, man, he wasn't. No, I don't think he was very high up on the pecking order. I've been talking to people within the organization. They're like, yeah, we were like, sure, take him. Like, that's fine. They had other guys in the system. You have to remember when they traded, Bouchard was emerging. Broberg we were still waiting for. I know Broberg's left shot, Kesselring right shot. They had Phil Kemp lingering around. Phil Kemp's still around, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Bo Akey has been introduced into the organization now, but it was one of those ones you didn't. John Marino's another one. Thank you, Steve. Steve's fantastic. If you get a chance to come down, 6 o'clock lager available. It's $12.99 at Sobeys and Safeway Liquor as well until Christmas. Thank you, Steve. There you go. Oh, yes. Good to see you. Him and Adam are excellent. Come on down to Hudson's Bourbon Street. So, I had to bring up Kesselring. And John Marino is another one. He was never going to play here. It just good for him. And I did see Kesselring both summers working in the ice den where the Coyotes used to train, and that was their home facility. And he was putting in work in the summer, and it's paying off. Good for him. It's a good story and kind of a never give up type of thing. And here he's getting his opportunity, and away he goes. So good to hear that. Good thing. And the Oilers, that tells you that they had a good one. They scouted him. They developed him a little bit, and took something to get someone in return for a run. Unfortunately, that year it only went to the second round. But, I had to bring it up. All right, Nat, so go ahead.
But we got to keep in mind that he got opportunity in Arizona because they had no other defensemen that were ready. And
they had injuries and literally just a bad team.
So he was able to go out there and play and make a lot of mistakes and learn.
Exactly.
And he's improved and he's gotten better, and good on him. But the Oilers, where they are and their kind of, years of a hockey team in the core.
Evolution.
Evolution. They couldn't do that at that time. They couldn't give a raw rookie or a raw young guy minutes and all that. And that's why I continue to say when people want to bring up, the young guys from Bakersfield, it's like, guys, this is not a team from 10 years ago. This is a team that's competing for a Stanley Cup. You're not going to come on this team and learn. You're not going to be given the time to figure it out. No, if you're on the Oilers, you better be contributing in some way or the other.
Like that. You got to pick it up on the take because this team is in win now mode. So you're right. That's a very good point. All right. Text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well. Hernan threw out the question of the night earlier. It was, where do you think the Oilers will be at the next break in the season? That is the Christmas break. We're about 3 weeks away from that. And will they be first, second, third in the division, maybe outside looking in? I think that they should be around second, pardon me. I think they could be anywhere as high as first. And then they could let everybody down and be outside looking in, but I do think they end up second. Well, I mean, you expect one thing from this team, and they seem to always do another, but they have a track record of picking up the slack and getting things going as the season progresses. They certainly did that last year. So keep those texts coming in. Natso, any texts you want to hit on?
Peter says second in the division, no question. This is the time where we see what this team is supposed to be. Rowdy Ruddy says, hey, boys, awesome show. Oil pound 5-1 tonight. Sorry, too long of a layoff. Donnie M says, I'll take McCann over Hyman. I don't know where that came from, but
well, McCann's a good player, but he plays for Seattle.
Yeah, I don't. But I mean, I'm not taking McCann over Hyman. Come on, I know Hyman's off to a slow start and he's dealing with injuries now, but Hyman is kind of the poster boy for like hard work and what a forward should be in the NHL when you're not at the elite skill level of a Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby and Austin Matthews, right? So
great point.
McCann's a good player, but I don't know why Hyman all of a sudden is taking a lot of heat. Yes, a lot of guys are not producing right now.
No, they're not.
I was going to call you Gager. I'm so used to saying Joaquin or Gager. No, Hyman will be fine. I think he's going to find his stride. Obviously, he's not going to have a year like he had the last 2 years, Tommy. But I'm not worried about him because he's still getting his opportunities when he was playing.
McCann, 40-goal scorer 2 seasons ago, 29 last year. And he's a good player, too. But, I think Zach Hyman, if he gets it going when he's healthy, then I don't think anybody's complaining. I think on the oil stream this afternoon with Nielsen and I, someone was saying, hey, trade Hyman when his value's high, get rid of Nurse and Nugent Hopkins. I was like, whoa, relax. But another texter came in earlier on that show as well and said, could you flip Arvidsson? Could you flip Jeff Skinner this year? And I think the answer is yes. Or Henrique, I think, was one of them as well. The answer is yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because the rest of the team, most of them have no movement clauses. So those could be chips, like better fits if you can find better fits. Somebody different type if you were trying to mold the team differently. I think those could be pieces. So I don't know how attached the Oilers are, Jeff Jackson and Stan Bowman are, but realistically, you could move them. You could absolutely do it. Okay, Nat, so there was, 14 games on the schedule today?
Yeah.
Very busy Thanksgiving in the United States. Thanksgiving weekend. Philly beats New York 3-1 as the Rangers continue to slide. That is their 5th straight loss. Mini 3-2 winners over Chicago. Vancouver 4-3 in overtime over Buffalo in Buffalo. Washington with the 5-4 win over the Islanders in OT. Florida doubles up Carolina 6-3. Columbus with the 5-2 victory over Calgary. Tampa defeating Nashville 3-2 in Nashville in overtime. The Kings 2-1 winners in Orange County against the Ducks. San Jose 8-5 over Seattle. What's going on there?
They can score, Tommy.
They can score. I'll tell you one team that can't. I'm kidding. I'm not going to say anything. The Devils defeat the Red Wings, and Boston down 2-1 to Pittsburgh. 9 minutes left in the third. You got Winnipeg up 1-0 in Vegas over the Golden Knights. 11 minutes left in the first period there. Dallas and Colorado coming up, and Utah and Edmonton also coming up to wind down a busy Friday in the NHL. Nancito, anything else you want to get to? We got a few minutes here.
Just hold on. Let me scroll up here. Penner's Pancakes. I think you said Janmark, 1 goal, 1 assist. I have Jeff Skinner scoring tonight. Gager picked your favorite player, Vasily Podkolzin, to get on the
my favorite
scoreboard. So we'll see. And Cass brought up a good point. I mean, they also don't have a good power play, but they're also struggling. I think they're at 77% on the PK. Mm-hmm. So the Oilers got to find a way. And we talked about it, and I know we're close to wrapping up, Tom, but you give the power play this road trip, and then you have to make moves, because I know a lot of people are asking for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to come off it and give a guy like Skinner a shot. Why not if you're not going? Because I remember the first 3 weeks of the season, everybody was like, don't worry, the power play will come around. It's not, Tom.
It's not.
You're
right.
So
it hasn't.
At what point does Coach Knobloch say, okay, this is not working anymore, we got to switch it up? We have to.
Well, okay, let's see the power play scoreless in its last 2, or goalless in its last 2. 0-for-3 last game against the Rangers. 0-for-2 against the Wild. They went 1-for-3 against the Sens. 0-for-3 versus the Habs. 1-for-2 against the Leafs. And then, 1, 2, 3, 4 goals in the last 9 games on the power play, so not good. 27th coming into action tonight. The PK, meanwhile, has gone 7 straight games without allowing one. Yeah. The last time the Oilers allowed a goal against on the PK was in Vancouver on the 9th, so 20 days ago. and that was in that like last dying seconds of the game. Remember, Darnell Nurse like smacked it very lightly into the
Skinner
slot.
Got mad.
Pass to tap in there. Skinner got mad because his GAA would go up and his save percentage would go down, and that was the last time they allowed one on the PK. So one is kind of like this, the power play kind of a little of that, and then the PK is starting to really pick up. I think that's more important, Hernan, that the penalty kill gets sorted out first. That's good. Let's look at it from a positive standpoint.
Okay.
Power play, listen, when Chris Knobloch, Glenn Gulletson did the fake out a few weeks ago where they didn't switch up those two, or the units. Yeah. Remember, they had in practice, they went with different units, and then they ultimately did nothing and went back to the usual. I think that ended up being an empty threat. And now these guys, the 5 guys that are on PP1, are just like, he's not going to change anything. He BS'd his way to making us do a practice with a different unit, and we were back out there the next game. So I don't know. I think he kind of lost them on that when he tried that in practice.
That's a great point, Tom. But what does that do for the guys like a Skinner, that it's like, okay, man, like these guys are not producing, they're not scoring. Why not get a look? And like you said, Chris Knobloch went back. He called his own bluff. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's a bad look, and the 5 guys on the ice are like, we're good, guys. No matter how bad we struggle, like at one point, it's going to get to like the definition of insanity. He's doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And Tom, I get the last 2 years they were historically great on the power play, but we all knew that it was going to end at one point, or it was going to go on the decline, and that's when you have to upgrade it. And maybe Nugent's not the guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But maybe, well, Hyman's injured right now, so you have someone. Perry's been moonlighting up there a little bit, right?
Yes, he has.
Listen, you asked, like, what would it do to a guy like Skinner? Well, he would just get annoyed. He'd be like, well, the guy doesn't want to use me. I'm a specialist. I score goals. That's why I was brought in here, to add more goal scoring. Yeah. We are not scoring goals right now. On the clip, we're expected to be scoring, and they don't put me out there on special teams with one of the main guys out. It annoys the guys like that, and they go, well, they're not putting me out there, so I'll just use whatever minutes I can to do what I can. And they're mad at me because I'm not scoring while I'm playing on the 4th line. You know, it's just a lose-lose type of scenario. So I think that's generally how skilled players who aren't being utilized the way they should, or as much as they should be, kind of handle those situations. And Skinner knows he's on a 1-year deal, so he's like, all right, well, whatever. I'm getting paid to do nothing. Unless you want to put me out there, I'll try it, but they're not putting me out there.
Are you at all concerned that I've seen some Buffalo media kind of like quote tweet some Oilers stuff on Jeff Skinner, the struggles and all that, and they kind of like, it's almost like a smirk and kind of like, we told you so? Are you concerned about that? Because they saw him for a while.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and they know hockey really well, and I always point back to, remember we had Joe DiBiase on here? He's like one of those guys. He's like, well, you're not going to get defense out of this guy. Yeah. Don't expect much offense generated by him. He finishes. That's his thing, and that's why I've said, like, if you thought Jeff Skinner was coming in here to be a complete player and to play 15 to 20 minutes a night, I think that was misguided. He's a hired gun. You got to put him in scenarios where he's on offensive zone starts and he's playing with skilled players, and he is going to be a hindrance defensively to them. That's kind of who he is as a player. But if he gets the puck in a high danger scenario, his chances of scoring are pretty good.
Yeah.
And he's just not out. They don't put him out there, and people are like, this guy sucks. He's in the doghouse. Well, what'd you expect him? Did you expect him to block shots? Did you expect him to have really clean breakouts? That's not him. That's not him. He's a good complementary player with a huge slant to offense. Outside of that, he's kind of just out there, and that's kind of what he does and has done for a long time.
Tommy, last question. Were you serious about the parking down there? Or
I actually found a spot relatively quickly, so I think you'll be okay. And I see more people leaving than coming in.
Okay, good.
Oh, there's Jeff.
It's getting a little tardy, so...
Yeah, I think you'll be all right. There's Jeff. Hello, sir. Good to see you. He's bundled up, and he's got his Canada Soccer gear on. All right, good to see you, Jeff. All right, that's going to do it. We're out of time. Great show, pregame show, live on location here at Hudson's, Canada's Pub. Bourbon Street location. I see Brody has shown up from the Combine crew. Cheers to Brody and Sticky Rice and Rob from the Grove and Norman at Combine. And Brody brought some colleagues from work. The ladies here are busy. They're wearing their Oilers gear. We've got a great crowd here. Hockey coaches, all kinds of stuff. As it's a good one. So come on down, say hi, watch the game, have a good bite to eat as we kick off a weekend here in the Big E as we move into holiday season. It's going to be awesome. Big thank you to Belle Fraser from the Salt Lake Tribune for hopping on today. Good insight on the Utah Hockey Club. And as always, big thank you to everybody who watched and listened. Let's see what happens with the Oilers facing Utah for the very first time, an expansion franchise, even though they were the Coyotes last season. For Hernan Salas and Matt Cassian, I'm Tom Gazzola saying thank you. Have a great dinner and enjoy the Oilers and the Utah Hockey Club. We'll see you on the postgame show.